Bhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Pati Vishakha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Sivatma Govinda Prabhuji Dandat Pranams.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, we welcome all of you for the today's morning program Nithyam Bhagavata Sevaya, and happy Sivaratri to all. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Sivatma Govinda Prabhu, and Prabhu will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, chapter 24, verses 11 and 12. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivardhari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatyam Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Nashtapraya Shubhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24. So we'll begin with the text 11. Samudrim Deva Devoktam Upayema Satadrutim Yam Vikshacharu Sarvangim Kishorim Sustva Alankritam Parikramantim Udvahe Chakame Agni Sukim Iva. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Maharaja Bharisat, henceforth known as Prachina Brahi, was ordered by the supreme demigod Brahma to marry the daughter of the ocean named Satadruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful and she was very young. She was decorated with the proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Sukhi. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In this verse, the word Sustu Alankritam is significant. According to the Vedic system, when a girl is married, she is very profusely and gorgeously decorated with costly saris and jewelry. And during the marriage ceremony, the bride circumambulates the bridegroom 7 times. After this, the bridegroom and bride look at one another and become attracted for life. When the bridegroom finds the bride very beautiful, the attraction between them immediately becomes very strongly fixed. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, men and women are naturally attracted to one another. And when they are united by marriage, that attraction becomes very strong. Being so strongly attracted, the bridegroom attempts to set up a nice homestead and eventually a good field for producing grains. Then children come, then friends, and then wealth. In this way, the male becomes more and more entangled in the material conception of life, and he begins to think, this is mine and it is I who am acting. In this way, the illusion of material existence is perpetuated. The words Sukim Iva are also significant for the fire god. Agni became attracted by the beauty of Satadruti while she was circumambulating the bridegroom Prachina Brahi. Just as he had previously been attracted to the beauty of Sukhi, the wife of Saptarishi. When the fire god had been present long ago at the assembly of Saptarishi, he was attracted by the beauty of Sukhi when she was circumambulating in the same way. Agni's wife, named Swaha, took the form of Sukhi and enjoyed the sex life with Agni. Not only the fire god Agni, but the heavenly god Indra and sometimes even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, all very highly situated demigods are subject to being attracted by sex at any time. The sex drive is so strong in the living entities that the whole world, material world, is running on such sex attraction only. And it is due to sex attraction that one demands in the material world and is obliged to accept different types of bodies. The attraction of sex life is more clearly explained in the next verse. So this is the purport of Srila Prabhupada. So from this verse, basic fundamental principle of metal existence is described here. Prabhupada in the purport many times points out this. Basic fundamental principle of metal life is the attraction between man and woman. It is like a basic principle of water is liquidity. This entire vast, beautiful, incredible creation, this material universe filled with life everywhere. It is because of this basic fundamental principle only. This is filled with so many lively people, lively souls. This is not just the Srimad Bhagavatam's version. Even the materialistic people fully agree with this. Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. Those who are demonic, that is materialistic people, usually, who have no idea of Krishna, no thought of spirituality, and deny the existence of spirituality yet. For them, the life is this basic fundamental principle, that is the lust. In Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter 8th verse, we can see, I will read out. Asatyam apratishtham te jagad ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haitukam. So purport is like this. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the demonic conclude that the world is phantasmagoria. Nobody is controlling it. There is no cause and effect, no controller, no purpose. Everything is unreal. They say that this cosmic manifestation arises due to chance, mental actions and reactions. So this is a theory they do. They do not think that the world was created by God for a certain purpose. They have their own theory that the world has come about in its own way and that there is no reason to believe that there is a God behind it. For them, there is no difference between spirit and matter, and they do not accept the supreme spirit. Everything is matter only, and the whole cosmos is supposed to be a mass of ignorance. According to them, everything is void, and whatever manifestation exists is due to our ignorance in perception. They take it for granted that all manifestation of diversity is a display of ignorance, just as in a dream, we may create so many things which actually have no existence. Then, when we are awake, we shall see that everything is simply a dream. But factually, although the demons say that life is a dream, they are very expert in enjoying this dream. So Prabhupada purport is like this. So actually, this is the propagation of me and mine. So now I am enjoying this material world and I want to enjoy this eternally, not just in this life and further lives, and only it should be enjoyed by me and mine. They believe that even after their death, they can enjoy their dynasty and this material world through their progeny. So this is the materialistic view, and in fact, Srimad Bhagavatam also agrees for this view of materialistic people. It is true. So why this allurement to women was introduced in this world? Why it has come to this material world? So many exalted people, demigods, and so many others are under this net of allurement. So what is the reason why it has come to this material world when we want only spiritual life? So we should thank for this our Prajapita Brahma. It was Brahma's work actually. So referring to this, there is one more reference from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, I think, 6th canto, chapter 18. So what is the reason for this? So text 30, Vilokaikanta bhutani adu prajapati striyam chakre sa swadehardam yaya pumsam matirhrita. So translation, in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of the living entities of the universe, saw that all living entities were unattached. So in the beginning of this creation, everybody were unattached. So they didn't have any lusty feelings or lusty thoughts. So to increase population, it is necessary. So he then created women from the better half of man's body. For women's behavior carries away man's mind. So woman was created for this reason, to populate this world. And this was an order by the Lord to the Brahma, and he has to do it because nobody were helping him. So Prabhupada purport for this shloka is very important and very interesting. This entire universe is going to under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of entire universe, not only in human society, but also in other species. As stated by Rishabhadeva in the 5th canto, Pumsa Striya Mithoni Maithuni Bhavam Etham. So the entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard knot of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in the materialistic way of life. This is the illusion of the material world. This illusion acted upon Kashyapa Muni also. Although he was very learned, Kashyapa Muni was a very learned person and advanced in spiritual knowledge. As stated in Manu Samhita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Matra Swashra Duhitrava Navivikta Sano Bhavet Bhalavan Indriya Gramo Vidvamsam Api Karshati. A man should not associate with a man in a solitary place, not even with his mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they lead astray even a person advanced in knowledge. So what happened with Kashyapa Muni and many other examples. When a man remains in solitary place with a woman, his sexual desires undoubtedly increase. Therefore, the words ekanta bhutani, which are used here, indicate that to avoid sexual desires, one should avoid the company of women as far as possible. Sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it if he stays in a solitary place with any woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. So this is what Prabhupada's purport. There was an incident even with Srila Prabhupada, where he was in Radha Damodar temple, that's what I believe. So where he was sitting and writing his commentary, and at the same time, his sister was also present in a room, and few of his followers were also sitting, and suddenly their followers left the room alone with Prabhupada. And afterward, Prabhupada chastised those devotees, and they were been told that they should never leave. Prabhupada is telling, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. So they never leave him alone with anybody like this, even with his sister. So what to speak of an ordinary people like us. So at that time, during the creation, Brahma requested many to help him in fulfilling the Lord's order that is populating this world. He requested his son Narada also, and many others, but none were attached for such desire. He has to bring in the lust factor in this world. So this is the reason for introduction of lust in this material world, in the service of Lord's order. So whatever this lust also has to be in the service of the Lord. There was nothing else. This is the lust is the Adi Rasa, the original rasa in Krishna, Lord Krishna himself. So all the rasas comes from Lord Krishna only. So, but that is the pure love, whatever Krishna has, that rasa, the Adi Rasa is a pure love. But men try to imitate this lust for their selfish pleasure. This is where the humpy bumpy life starts. So Krishna is not in the center for them. But in the case of Brahma, it was. So it was allowed. Out of envy and jealousy, people will keep the Krishna away from all their activities. This is the nature of men in this material world. So example for this is in this verse, particular verse, like Agni Deva. This is the pure material desire. What is there to serve Lord in this explanation? Nothing. This is a pure material desire, nothing else. No love, nothing spiritual. This was the first meeting during the traditional marriage. So it's a marriage ceremony is going on, and Agni Deva is there. Agni Deva is necessary during the marriage ceremonies. It's a traditional system. And the bride and bridegroom circumambulate the Agni for taking their oaths. So desire to own the attachments takes place. When Agni saw a beautiful woman, the desire has started on its own, and attachment takes place to own everything which he wants to have and desire. And he looks for every single opportunity and to make it available for him forever. So this is a process. First is seeing, desiring, and the strong desire will make them to be own and forever, not just for the moment, not just for the small time, but eternally they want to be with them. But this thought is actually not correct, because it's anyway this material world, it's temporary. Nothing is permanent in this world. So this is not the first time the Agni is having the experience this kind of situation. So in the purport and even in the shloka it's mentioned, even earlier also Agni had this kind of situations where once it happened, Agni with Suki. That means it is a repeated activities, repeated situations happening for the demigod Agni. And why this will happen repeated is because previously is not satisfied with the desire fulfillment. So once you don't have the fulfillment of desire, again one more desire will come up. Because it is not fulfilled, the desire will get stronger and you look for ever this kind of situations. And why the satisfaction is not given, not received by this kind of lusty desires is one major element. The missing point is Krishna. Except Krishna, everything is there. There is total distraction when there is no Krishna, regardless of any position of a person, like Agni Deva. What to speak of ordinary people, ordinary human beings and animals? This is the strongest material force in this material world, the lust. This can be understood from another shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 31st chapter. Amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods, and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of woman. The first living creature is Brahma himself, and from him were created sages like Marichi, who in their turn created Kashyapa Muni and others. And Kashyapa Muni and Manus created different demigods and human beings. But there is none among them who is not attracted by the spell of Maya in the form of woman. Throughout the entire material world, beginning from Brahma down to the small, insignificant creature like the ant, everyone is attracted by sex life. That is the basic principle of this material world. Lord Brahma's being attracted by his daughter is a vivid example that no one is exempt from attraction to woman. Woman, therefore, is the wonderful creation of Maya to keep conditioned souls in shackles. Like this, many examples are there, and many exalted personalities were captivated in such situations. And I will try to bring few of them after we discuss today's next verse. So stay tuned. The devotees of the Lord learn the nature of material world. So that is one advantage for the devotees. The hunger, the thirst, pleasure, pain, all these are going to be there. They know that. They understand like this, the devotees. So they also know they don't just go away from them, all these things. But for the pleasure of Krishna, the devotees switch off those things, or they just deviate or direct their desires for the desires of Lord's pleasure. So how they will do it? Bringing the Krishna in the center of all the activities, but not imitating them. That's what happened with many exalted people imitating Krishna. So, but with devotees, no imitation, but for the pleasure of Krishna, bringing the Krishna in their activities. So this is how they will maintain. This is the only solution actually to overcome from such a disastrous life. Many examples are there. People going behind the desires and without Krishna's pleasure, and their lives are disastrous later. So this is explained in the next verse. I will read out this. Today's second verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 24th verse. 12th verse, 24th chapter. Vibudha sura gandharva munisiddha naroragaha vijita suraya dikshu kvanayantaiva nupurai. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. While Satadruthi was thus being married, the demons, the denizens of Gandharva Loka, the great sages and denizens of Siddha Loka, the earthly planets and Nagaloka, although highly exalted, were all captivated by the tinkling of her ankle bells. So it is not just Agni Deva. There are many other demigods and many other demons. Everybody were captivated for this. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Generally, a woman becomes more beautiful when, after an early marriage, she gives birth to a child. To give birth to a child is natural function of a woman, and therefore a woman becomes more and more beautiful as she gives birth to one child after another. In the case of Satadruti, however, she was so beautiful that she attracted the whole universe at her marriage ceremony. Indeed, she attracted all the learned and exalted demigods simply by tinkling of her ankle bells. This indicates that all the demigods wanted to see her beauty completely, but they were not able to see it because she was fully dressed and covered with ornaments. Since they could only see the feet of Satadruti, they became attracted by her ankle bells, which tinkled as she walked. In other words, the demigods became captivated by her simply by hearing the tinkling of her ankle bells. They did not have to see her complete beauty. It is sometimes understood that a person becomes lusty just by hearing the tinkling of bangles on the hands of women, or the tinkling of ankle bells, or just by seeing a woman's sari. Thus, it is concluded that woman is a complete representation of Maya. Although Vishwamitra Muni was engaged in practicing mystic yoga with closed eyes, his transcendental meditation was broken when he heard the tinkling of bangles on the hands of Menaka. In this way, Vishwamitra Muni became a victim of Menaka and fathered a child who is universally celebrated as Sakuntala. The conclusion is that no one can save himself from the attraction of women, even though he be exalted demigod or an inhabitant of the material planets. Only a devotee of the Lord who is attracted by Krishna can escape the lures of women. Once one is attracted by Krishna, the illusory energy of the world cannot attract him. Jai. So much powerful the devotees are. Even demigods cannot be controlled, their lusty feelings, senses, but a devotee is blessed with that strength. It's a special power for the devotee actually. So here is another example. Anything which is not connected to Krishna directly will not have any power to take us beyond this material world, material conception of life. So Krishna is to be connected directly, at least. The living entity may be very pious, may follow all the scriptures and follow the directions of the spiritual master and sadhu and shastra, and control the mind also, and engage them in the proper activity also. But that is not enough to prevent one from the clutches of or luring or attraction for material energy. Why? If there is no Krishna in life. Living entity by nature looking for happiness, and to gain the happiness, he does many activities. And in this process, in such activity, he may gain or he may is a loss of happiness. So both can be possible. But living entity think that this is the happiness. It is for me, for us. And in this way, the person will be distracted from the main goal of life. Yes, looking for our happiness is still mundane. But in spirituality, the person will look for results for the Krishna. So Krishna's pleasure in any situation rather than for himself. So this is the devotee's mode. In the present situation, demigods were looking for their personal gains. Instead, they could have been an ideal grihasthas from which others can learn and could be happy in Krishna conscious life. But that did not happen like that. This is because of lack of Krishna conscious. We can see many examples of exalted demigods mentioned in this verse. Previously, Agni Deva, he is not an ordinary person. He is the only person, only Agni in this universe who accepts all the sacrifices and on behalf of the Lord and to whomever you offer to any demigods, he has to carry all this and reach it to them. So he's not an ordinary person. He's a qualified personality, actually. All the oblations were carried and offered to the Lord. He never takes anything for himself. Such a good quality he has. But for such a personality also, allurement of women was beyond his control. This is because of one important element, Krishna consciousness. So, only the element of Krishna consciousness can elevate the person from material to spiritual. And that is the goal of life. Here in this shloka, it's mentioned she's fully covered and only her feet is visible and only the tinkling of the ankle bells were heard and while moving. And it was so powerful that all those demigods, the minds were attracted to her just by hearing the sound. Hearing the sound first and then interaction. Like this, the process gradually advances and one will be leaded to another, and that ends with sense gratification mentally and also end of this physically. Here, demigods were able to hear and see a glimpse of Mother Sutadrati. But in case of Vishwamitra, a very special person, Vishwamitra, an exalted personality, his eyes were closed and his mind was on the deep meditation. Still, his attention went on the dancing and the bracelet sound of Menaka. And he opened the eyes, that's it. He was arrested there, gone. There is one more shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam I would like to refer, where we can understand how a person is entrapped in lust without the element of Krishna consciousness in their lives. So this is from 11th canto, 8th chapter, 7th verse. Drishtva striyam deva mayam tad bhavair ajitendriya pralobitha patati ande tamasai agnau patangavat. Srila Prabhupada's translation is, one who has failed to control his senses immediately feels attraction upon seeing a woman's form, which is created by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, when the woman speaks with enticing words, smiles coquettishly, and moves her body sensuously, his mind is immediately captured, and thus he falls blindly into the darkness of material existence, just as the moth, maddened by the fire, rushes blindly into its flames. The purport. Srila Sridhara Swami explains in this regard that Just as a moth is killed by its attraction to the form of fire, similarly a bee can easily be killed by exploiting its attraction to the fragrance of flowers. Furthermore, hunters may trap and kill an elephant by exploiting its sensuous desires to touch a captive female elephant, and may also kill a deer by attracting it with sounds of their horns, and a fish is killed by its desire to taste the bait on a hook. So many examples. Thus, one who desires to learn detachment from material illusion, that is for the devotees, should accept these 5 helpless creatures as guru and learn the needful. Certainly, one who is lusty to enjoy the illusory form of woman will be quickly buried in material illusion. Of the 5 types of fatal attraction involving material sense objects, the lesson of rupa or form is illustrated in this verse. So the 11th canto 8th chapter, the 7th verse is speaking about 5 people, 5 elements, 5 even I think animals only. All are referred as animals only here, like the moth and the elephant, then deer, fish. So all this, how they are captured by the hunters or whoever, to capture them, what will happen to them? Because of the lusty desires and attachment, they'll just go and kill themselves without their knowledge. But this will not happen for the devotees, because this will be our gurus. All these 5 people will be our gurus to learn from them that detachment is necessary. One who desires to learn detachment from material illusion should accept these 5 helpless creatures as guru. So they've already gone through those situations. Seeing them, understanding them, learning from them, we can be saved. The devotees can be saved. So the point is, only the devotee of the Lord can be successful person in controlling the lust. Example, if a devotee is walking through a kitchen and sees nice preparations are made, and definitely it will be attracted if he is a foodie. Feeling like tasting them, isn't it? Whenever we see our attractive food, when we are fasting or something like that, that we get attracted and we feel like tasting them. But suddenly in the minds of the devotees, there will be a reminder saying that this is for the Lord. The preparations are made for the Lord, not for us. And in fact, not just reminding that this is for the Lord's pleasure, also it reminds a person to be like, I can also add some more offerings in this plate. Not this, whatever the offerings I have seen is not enough for the Lord. I have to make some more preparations. So he will get into that preparations. Sometimes he tries to do nicely offerings, nice arrangements in the plate, and like even salt, chili, lemon. So many things will be added for the pleasure of the Lord. So his mind will be taken in a different direction for pleasing the Lord. Here, so thinking like this, contemplating like this, which happens to a devotee, Krishna is pleased. So it will give more pleasure to the Lord. It's not just the dishes is offered, but his bhava also, his controlling the senses for the pleasure of Krishna. Otherwise, he could have taken those foodstuffs and enjoyed by himself, but he controlled it, his desires, and he directed his desires for the pleasure of Krishna, and that gives more pleasure to the Lord. So all this balanced acts in Krishna consciousness will be more real without any distractions. So all these distractions happen for the demigods is because of the absence of Krishna consciousness. So totally distraction and totally gone to the disastrous lives. Like what will happen, the soul in the womb of a mother struggling for 9 months, the soul will pray for the Lord that once I'll get out from this kind of situation and I want to get out and please help me. Once I go out, I'll become a very nice devotee of you and I always meditate upon you. I will do a lot of services for you. So many prayers will happen. But once the soul comes out from the womb of the mother, and that's it, the Maya will be attracted for him and forgets. This is a distraction, deviation, lost the way. That's it, he's gone. So this distraction for the devotees, of course, will not happen. Once we do this kind of balanced acts, it will be more real without any distraction. That's actually real human. It's a real sacrifice, it's a real charity, then austerity. That's a perfection of human life, human being. So this will better the human being actually. Someone may think this is not real, this devotional life is not real, and their family is not real, and so many things. No, nothing. Krishna consciousness is not necessary. Many people may think like that, but this is material life, material view of life, but no, that's not the correct way of thinking. So without Krishna conscious view, one can be easily distracted away. So Krishna conscious in their lives is very, very important. That the view should be there. So easy way for successful devotional life is controlling the senses for satisfying Krishna's senses, not for selfish senses. This is done easily by sticking to one's duty and focusing on that. So what is my duty? As a devotee, what should be done? That should be focused, and that's it, not more than that. This will be helpful in avoiding distractions, controlling the situations, not going out of the way. So that endeavor is very important for us. So discussing that, let us now recollect a few more examples related to today's two verses, where few of them, how they had disastrous lives in the future, not having the Krishna conscious, and those who have Krishna conscious and they were successful devotees in this material world. So already Kashyapa Muni was referred in the previous verses. He was an empathetic with his wife's desire at an untimely moment, which he was hesitant to fulfill daytime. So for conception is very relevant within the framework of material laws of nature. So just because of this uncontrollable desire, he had to conceive, and that is how this dialogue is going on. The three perfections of liberation are dharma, artha, and kama. Moksha is liberation. If one engages in artha and kama in line with the dharma, then one will move closer to the moksha, because the do's and don'ts of the artha and kama are designed according to the dharma to lead the soul to gradual purification. That process is called the pravritti marga, or the gradual purification of human soul by leading one's life according to those rules and regulations. So this is one nice example from Kashyapa Muni, what we can learn. So, and the next is a very interesting Gajendra. Gajendra, he's for many examples been taken, and one of them is, in fact, Grihastha. Gajendra was a Grihastha, and he was attracted to the family so much, and of course, and as an elephant for the sensual activities, and it was trapped in a lake when he was before trapping. Actually, he was appreciating the environment and lake in which he was he will be not trapped, the beauty of the environment and so many things, and he wanted to enjoy the time, and that distracted, and he was trapped there. On becoming after trapping, on becoming, he was very prayerful mood, and he was praying to the Lord, and what happened to him? He was relieved. So till Krishna was not there in the prayers, he was under the trap because of his desires and attachment. But when he added Krishna in the prayers, he was relieved. His last minute devotional service to the Lord saved him. So this was a very nice and impressive example of a personality, Gajendra, learning from him how Krishna conscious can be saving our lives. And one more very important, very interesting personality in Bhagavatam, it comes, Ajamila. He was a very nice practicing Brahmana, but due to accidental glimpse of lust, he was attracted to them, distracted, but due to his pious activity previously, was given a chance to do devotional service. And after the performing devotional service to the Lord, and he could achieve it, and he could save himself from the clutches of the Yamaraj, Yamadutas. So this is another example, very important example where Krishna conscious life is important for coming out from the distraction of this material world. Then there was one example, very important personality in the history of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where the Chota Haridas, he was a sannyasi actually. He is called as a junior Haridas actually. That's why in English, in Hindi, it is Chota Haridas. So following the order of, once it happened, like Bhagwan Acharya told him to go for collecting the alms, and he went to a woman's house, Madhavi Devi, something that, so woman's home. They going for asking for the alms, he committed an offense by talking intimately with that woman, although he was in the renounced order. So he was a sannyasi. So observing this, Mahaprabhu rejected Haridas Thakur. So even the position is, the rules and regulations, deviation is not allowed. So even the Mahaprabhu, the so merciful personality of the Lord, still he was rejected. And despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees, the Lord did not accept him again. 1 year after that, after this incident, Junior Haridas Thakur went to the confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna and commit suicide. So disastrous life, just because over deviating from the rules of sannyasi. So this is Chota Harida. And there is one more important personality in our parampara, Haridas Thakura. So Haridas Thakura, was a prominent Vaishnava saint known for his instrumental in the initial propagation of Hare Krishna movement. He is considered the most famous convert of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, apart from Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Haridas Thakur comes. So Advaitacharya, a person determined to deliver the fallen souls, decided to bring Krishna. With this vow, he began to offer Ganges and Tulsi in the worship of the Lord. Similarly, Haridas Thakur chanted in his cave on the banks of Ganga with the intention of bringing the Krishna to this world, beginning from the Lord Brahma down to the insignificant ant. We read it. Anyone is, without exception, is attracted by the illusory energy of the Supreme Person of Godhead. But for Haridas Thakur, we see how it is happening is the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, beasts, trees, plants, everybody are attracted by sexual desire. That is an illusion of Maya. Everyone, whether man or woman, thinks that he is or she is an enjoyer of the illusory energy. In this way, everyone is captivated and engaged in material activities. However, in the case of Haridas Thakur, being a devotee, was always thinking the Supreme Person of Godhead and was always busy satisfying the senses of the Lord. This process alone saved him from the captivation of Maya. You know the story of this Haridas Thakur, and the prostitute comes there, and for last 3 days, a beautiful woman was sitting in front of Haridas Thakur, and in fact openly asking for fulfilling her desire. And such an young, there is a description how she was so beautiful in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So still then, Haridas Thakur was never distracted. The reason is he was focused on the service to the Lord. This is practical proof of the strength of devotional service. And what happened to him at the end? Mahaprabhu personally came, took him in his arms, and he was given the liberation. The Lord personally came and taken care of him. But what happened to the Chota Haridas Thakur? He was also blessed in some other way, but the outcome out for the deviation from the course was different, and for Haridas Thakur was totally different. So devotional life in one's life is very, very important. Devotional service is very important. And one more personality, Vishwamitra. I think Vishwamitra, we already discussed how he was distracted, and though he was such an exalted person who could meditation was totally strong, but still he was distracted. And what about the fish? One of the example we seen, just for a small piece of food, it is so much attracted, went and trying to enjoy that food, was caught for the bait, gone. That fish life is gone. So this is fish is actually our guru to learn that we should not be like that. And one more, an exalted personality is there in our history. In Bhagavatam it says Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni is a special person actually. So Shukadeva Goswami describes the history of Saubhari Muni, who became essential agitation caused by a fish actually. It's a distraction for him. And this person is not an ordinary person. He could meditate not sitting on the ground, but in the water, inside the water. And since he was getting disturbances, he felt his meditation is disturbed outside. So he went into the water, so no men will be there to disturb him. And he could meditate for many years in the water, in the ocean. Such a great person who can control his senses. He got distracted, fell from his yoga, and wanted to marry all the daughters of King Mandata for his pleasure, because he had a glimpse of fishes enjoying. So when he was meditating in the ocean, so this has distracted him. Later, Saubhari Muni became very grateful, thus with his enjoying pleasures. So he accepted the orders of the Vanaprastha. He realized later, and he followed the Vanaprastha ashram and performed very severe austerities, and thus attained a perfection. So in this regard, Shukadeva Goswami described Saubhari Muni's wives also became perfect, because they were all following Saubhari Muni, and Saubhari Muni became perfect. The wives also became perfect. I think I'm taking too much time. Sorry, I couldn't. I just was carried away. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So I think I'll end this, because like this, many exalted devotees or personalities are there in the history. And anyway, I'll just end this. Please forgive me. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your patientful time. So if any of you want to share anything related to today's topic or today's verses, you may share, so I can also learn. Actually, this topic was not, I'm not capable of explaining this topic, but with the mercy of the other Vaishnavas, senior Vaishnavas, I could learn and share with you all. So if you all have anything, any of you can share, I'll also learn.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Like with so many examples, you have made us understand that.
I have a few more actually, but time limitation. Anyway, so yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Like with so many examples, you made us understand that like the attraction for sense gratification and what is the solution you have given. Like the only reason is Krishna consciousness is missing. Then we easily get attracted to the sense gratification. Otherwise, when we engage our senses for the sense enjoyment of Krishna, then like we'll be away from the allurement. But it is also a nice arrangement on the Shivaratri day by the Sivatma Govinda Prabhu from the about the verses from the chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, all Shiva. Okay, today. Malini Mataji mentioned that thank you for the wonderful class, and any other devotees can unmute and add any comments or questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam. Prabhu, excellent class and the wonderful examples you have given. I mean, from the time you started giving the example, one thing was coming to my mind is about Arjuna. When he goes and he was, I think Gandharva woman who attracts him. But though he was very strong, he doesn't want to, he says, you are like my mother. But in spite of that, she curses. Like unless Haridas Thakura, the prostitute gets converted into a Krishna conscious person. But here, instead, she curses him, Prabhu. How do you explain that?
Any seniors, others who are present here, they can.
Although he is in Krishna consciousness. No, Prabhu.
Mataji, yes.
Although he is in Krishna consciousness, Arjuna.
Yeah, even actually, Pandavas were also, that's what the discussion was in today's, one point was like, even many exalted people, personalities also get allured. Not necessarily to the woman, for any lusty desire, not necessary for the woman, for any desires in this material world actually. So one small deviation. Even Pandavas, of course, they did mistake. They could have been better, but they did probably few non-Krishna conscious thoughts probably, and they were also in problem, right? And Krishna helped them actually in many ways. Personally came because they were all special people, special devotees. So in this case, probably I don't know to speculate. If somebody else can help in clearing this understanding, I'll request Prasadeshwar Prabhu. I could see him is here. Hare Krishna.
I'm not qualified to add, Prabhuji, but what I heard,
Back to you.
Prabhuji,
I can find out in case if she wants a clarification, I can find out from my seniors and I'll let her know.
but what I heard was even though it was looks like a curse, but later it was a boon for him. Like when he was doing the Agnatavas, like I think curse was about like he will become the Napumsaka, this thing. So later it became a boon for them when they were doing the Agnatavas. So maybe for the moment it might looks like a curse, but later it's a boon. I mean that's what I heard, Prabhuji, but
So it is a
not
disguise.
qualified to add.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu,
Probably.
you're right, Prabhu. That helps him. That helps him. Maybe it's all play of Krishna.
Because they were also Krishna conscious. So the curse also was given as a blessing, probably. Yes.
Blessing in disguise. Okay, Prabhu. Sorry it was just in my mind, so I asked the question.
Welcome, Mataji. I learned it. Thank you.
There are no more questions, Prabhuji, so we can end the class with Vaishnava Pranama. Vancha kalpataru.
Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Shila Gurudev ki jai.
Hari Hari Bol. Hari.
Muralidharan Prabhu, you want to add something?
Prabhu?
Murali Murar Prabhu, I think wants to say something. Or